All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Liberation Rise. I am your producer today, Augustine Sharif, and Dr. George is going to be here. It's the third Sunday of the month, and that means we are going to have this school be you. I'm going to be bringing Mr. George on and turn over the platform to him, and he and his guests. They will be here to run the interview for today. Sorry, guys, we came a little bit later. We're doing some work in the background, but the show must go on. So here we go. Mr. George, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing very fine. Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. How are you?
So far, so good.
Let me wear my coat.
And
1 minute. 1 minute.
yeah, so far, so good. And so, folks, thank you for joining us. And those of you joining us from Monrovia, chances are you are joining us on Freedom FM 87.9. And you also joining us on YouTube and Facebook. Today is going to be a special edition here where we have This Could Be You, where we interview a Liberian who is doing extraordinary thing, whether at home or abroad. And so today, though, we are going to be interviewing a very young Liberian. Hopefully, the internet connectivity work for us. Most of the time it's a catch-22 when you schedule interview for someone in Liberia. Sometimes it's a catch-22. The internet connectivity will be a problem. Uh, I am getting feedback. He can hear me. I've also not yet been allowed in. So I am going to try to bring our guest on. We are going to do the very best we can to accommodate him as the show goes on. But stay tuned. Dr. George is going to be coming on here shortly. All right, Mr. George, how you
Yeah,
doing, James?
I'm doing fine. Good evening, boss. How are you today?
So far, so good. So far,
Uh,
so good.
Good. How's your neck of the wood?
Man, it's Colorado. It's getting cold, so that's how we do it. So,
Um, Congratulations.
but how's our guest for today, though, Mr. Hodges? I think I got a message from him saying he was not hearing us. I don't know if the
Yeah,
internet
he
is
said
going
he
to
can hear
cooperate.
you on my end. So we'll bring him in. Perhaps we hear him when he comes in.
All right, let me try to bring him in. Mr.
Oh,
Hodges, good afternoon or good evening to you in Monrovia. How you doing?
Gerald, can you hear us now?
Still
If,
can hear us. Okay.
maybe you need to go out and come back and check your audio.
All right. So sorry, folks in Radio Land and those. We are still trying to make it work behind the scene. Our guest is not hearing us. But I would let Mr. George to continue on the show, though. He was going to at least keep talking while we're getting our guest situated. We're going to ask him to log out and come back in, and hopefully that works for us. But, we want to be able to interview these young people or older people or individuals in Monrovia, Liberia, who are doing wonderful things. Most of the time, the third Sunday of every month, we interview people from the States or from Europe, but we want to hear from our brothers and sisters in Liberia. And sometimes we are lucky, the internet will cooperate, and sometimes, things will just go sideways. So, but that is just the nature of the game, and we are going to do our very best today to hear Mr. Hodges' story. So, Dr. George, yeah, let's have a conversation here while we are waiting, because if Mr. Hodges can make it, we have to twist the story around and just talk about some important things. I'm not saying this is not important, but some of the news, the story making news in Monrovia that I've been tracking. We can come talk on some of those. But yeah, so what are you really looking forward to? As you introduced the show today for our viewer.
Oh, I'm looking forward to having a conversation with a very young Liberian um, who have made a lot of impact trying to get his story, and it would be a source of inspiration to some young people in Liberia to see someone of their age doing great things, even in Liberia. I know he, from what he shared and know him for a while, he came to the U.S. on the Mandela Fellowship, completed his studies, and he went back home. At the end of his studies, he returned to Liberia, and he has been working there all this time, and he's making an impact. Now the CEO of Monrovia Football Academy, which is another or innovative project that we also want to know a lot about. So I look forward to hearing Mr. Hodges' story.
I mean, while we wait for him, though, I just got to speak to his character for a little bit. I don't mean to put my family dirty secret out here, but one of my uncles been in this country since the 70s. And he's done very well for himself in this country, done very well on his businesses, did everything. But, unlike Mr. Hodges, the government sent him here to study, to ask him to go back. But when he came, and I'm not saying my uncle is a poor character man. The man did well. He established, brought so many people here. But it speaks to someone character, someone his age, someone his youth, and to come to quote unquote the land of opportunity, completed his studies, and so committed to his country that he will go back. And I know some people that were sent here during early time, and I know they went to good university, Cornell University. And I know that brother is still he finished his study. He said, look, he disappeared in New York, and he's in New York at this point in time. So to see that Mr. Hodges completed his study and said, look, I'm going to go back and do exactly what is expected of me, that speaks. I mean, I'm very impressed by that when it comes to the character of the person we are speaking of.
Oh yeah, I remember when we interviewed Dr. Dennis, the first
Oh yeah,
neurosurgeon.
when he went to Russia, I remember that story.
After his studies, he returned to Liberia and he
Mhm.
practiced for a while before coming back here. So there are a couple of Liberians who came for study. At the end of the study, they went back home, but and they made impact. So his story is one of that. He could have stayed here in the U.S. Very intelligent young man, but he made a decision to go back home. And going back home, he have also made an impact, climbing to the ladder of being a CEO right now. It's a great achievement.
Yeah, and I think again, it just speaks to something else, right? Because there are so many people that will say, "Look, yes, I got this scholarship, or I got this opportunity to come to the States or to go to Europe and study. However, I cannot go back to Liberia because number one, the country is not ready for me. Number two, there's no opportunity for a job. Number three, they can give you all the list of reasons why they could not go back to the country that actually sent them, or maybe help them to get whatever scholarship that they got to come and do the study. They can give you all the reason. However, though, here's a young man who did it the right way, making his educational work. And when I say making your educational work, we did a show here maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago where I was talking about people creating their own opportunities. Liberia is such, I know when you look at the market right now in Liberia or the business arena in Liberia, you can say it's saturated. But everybody can be selling kobo, everybody can be selling rice, everybody can be doing stuff. There are different opportunities that people can kind of explore in the private sector to actually create opportunities, and I think he did it. He created his own path, forging his own path, and hopefully that's something that some of our brothers and sisters in Monrovia, university students that have graduated from university, can emulate.
Yeah, a lot of people can emulate that. He too did his studies in Liberia. I think he did his university studies also in Liberia before coming out of the country. So yeah, just a lot of example. You can always know that being country also have its own hope. Mr. Hodges, can you hear us now? Oh, he went out again.
I don't think he's hearing us.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, so I don't think he's hearing us, but he's really trying to get connected. So to those of you who are listening to us on Freedom FM or YouTube and Facebook, we are actually intending to interview Gerald Hodges today, and we are still working on the technical aspect here to see if we can get him. Gerald, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. I think we got something going. And to our viewers again on YouTube, Facebook, those listening to us on Freedom FM 87.9, we said thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to turn the platform over to Dr. George and Mr. Hodges, and I'll be in the background running things as the show goes on. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great
Thank
show.
you. Thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff. Good evening, Mr. Hodges. How are you today?
Good evening, Dr. George. I'm doing wonderful. I was a bit worried with all these technical issues. But yeah, I was also worried about electricity. Where electricity is on, I'm in Monrovia, so that's super exciting.
Okay, thank you. Let's get to the show. We started late, but definitely we'll be able to put our way through. Tell us, introduce yourself. Who is Mr. Gerald Hodges? If anybody see you down the street and want to know this gentleman.
Wonderful. So thank you again so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. As you've already mentioned, my name is Gerald Hodges. I currently am the CEO and founder, sorry, not founder, but the CEO of Lead Monrovia Football Academy. Basically, I'm a development management professional with close to 15 years of work experience within the development ecosystem, pretty much working at the intersection of education, healthcare, and technology, as well as agriculture. So it's an honor to be here and looking forward to talking more about the work that I do as we, proceed.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from your journey to where you are today. How you started. Did you attend school in Liberia? Which part of Liberia you started your education from?
Oh, that's pretty interesting. So I did not start my education here. My foundation education was in Conakry, Guinea, where I attended preliminarily primary and middle school, and then my family transitioned back to Liberia, where I completed my high school education, and then I went on to attending the Stella Maris Polytechnic University, where I completed my bachelor's in economics and management. And then I did like a semester long program in the US in something called Transformative Action and Leadership at the Watson Institute in Boulder, Colorado. I also studied in Ghana, where I obtained my master's in development management. So I've had, like, I would say, some form of holistic education across the world.
Hmm. Wow.
Bringing experience across different sectors. Yeah.
Okay, so how was life like in Guinea? I mean, many people were you speaking French and you did your studies in Guinea?
Oh yeah, I was definitely speaking French. French, in fact, as a matter of fact, was my first language. I would
Okay.
say. Then, because I literally grew up there, and so went to kindergarten, primary school, and middle school, and so um, ironically, I do know I still do speak French, but it's not as clear as English. And now English has overtaken,
Hmm.
given the fact that I've spent more than half of my life now in anglophone countries. So yeah, but I used to speak French. I used to write French. French, in fact, was my strongest language. It's interesting that that has changed over time. Yeah,
Okay, so when you left Conakry and moved back to Liberia, you say you were in middle school.
I was in high school then.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I was already in
how
high
was it
school.
like when you had to come back to Liberia as a young person, having grown up in the francophone ecosystem, and coming back to Liberia? How was it like?
It was really difficult. I will both bitter and sweet experiences. I would say when I say sweet experience, in the sense that finally I had the opportunity to sort of live in my home country and get to experience, pretty much what was happening. Because in Guinea, I was really disassociated with the culture, with life, with the history of Liberia, and so on. And so, really, for me, returning home was really to learn more about the culture, immerse myself more in the lifestyle here, and really reconnect with family I had not seen since I was born. And so I would say that was, I guess, some of the best part of my transitioning back home. But on the flip side, it was a difficult transition, given that in as much I was speaking English, but French became my first language, over time. And so it was really difficult. One of my biggest fear, I think, and that of my parents as well, was that I perhaps would have lost, I would have been demoted based on the fact that, English was not my first language of education or instruction. And so that was the fear. But over time, I had to put in triple the work to really, learn how to read better, learn how to write better English, and really immerse myself into the education ecosystem here. So I remember being bullied by the way I actually spoke. Because when I came, for instance, there's one word that still sticks in my head up to today. I used to say development.
Mm,
So in French, the word development is développement, and
mm.
so it was a struggle with certain words, and so you get bullied because they say, "What a man doing here, man? You elaborate, man. You know how to speak. You know how to speak English. Those kind of things." Also, there's the other part of this was the fear of failure. So I really did not want to fail. And so I was consistently reminded, to put in my best because I did not want to get demoted. Obviously, in any part of the world, when you get demoted from one, class going backwards, it shows that, okay, probably you're not smart enough, you're not educated enough, you're not meeting the benchmark that is required to be at this level. So that fear also haunted me. And so but also on the other hand, that fear also made me stronger in the sense that I had to put in more work to be able to catch up with the rest of the people within my class. So and that's the thing. I see there are a lot of different cultural differences as well that I really had to get used to. That was different from Guinea versus here, and so I had to adapt to the culture and get used to the culture of Liberia over time. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you in Liberia, you getting the news of the culture. You went to Stade Maries. How was life in Stade Maries when you went out there? Now, I mean, you have which high school you graduated from?
Carver Mission Academy. It's a school on the ELW road. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I spent 2 years, graduated from high school there, and then I went on to studying at the Stella Maris. So Stella Maris was really an interesting experience. I think my first experience in college. I was quite young. I think around that time also, Liberia was transitioning from the war, so you could find a lot of older people who are older than you, probably on average 3 to 5 years or sometimes even more, older than you in the classroom setting. And that was the same thing for high school as well. I was this tiny, skinny kid, 17, who, started college at 17. And so it was really, a mix of, I would say again, challenges, but also successes in the sense that I found myself as one of the proactive students and bright students in the classroom, then who was really proactive in studying ahead of the class, reading ahead, reading extra materials and resources. I was volunteering in my church, gaining experience as a youth leader in my church as well, choir leadership as well at some point in time. So all of those leadership experiences, I would say, gave me the confidence to partake in college life, I would say. So in as much as this skinny young kid in college amongst a lot of people who are older than me, but I had some level of confidence that I came with, and that was seen across, I would say, both my peers in classroom, but also even with the lecturers. So I would say that experience really was, I guess, one of the most memorable one was I had this class. It was our business law class, I think in my second year. So my business law class in my second year, it got to a point that the lecturer then was like, okay, you know what, Gerald, whenever the lecturer asked a question in class, he
Hmm.
would say, well, Gerald, do not raise up your hand, because I was always ready to raise up my hand and answer a question. um, that's one experience I remember. Be it, I would say, we had like an ethics and philosophy, I think philosophy class as well, that I took in my first and my second year of college. So that was a class I really enjoyed, and I was very proactive. I was asking deep questions, but also providing deep meaningful insight in classrooms. So the experience was really, I would say it was a learning experience for me, gaining not only experience in the classroom but also gaining experiences across different sector. And I remember my first internship, which really also helped me a lot, was my second year of college. My second year of college, I was fortunate enough to audition with I think over 300 young people for a program that was spearheaded then by Population Services International. It was a health NGO, And I remember that 300 plus young people auditioned through multiple assessments, from like an in-person audition to interviews to different stages like aptitude test. And I was among two males that were selected to become interns at Population Services International just in my second year of college. So through the experience at PSI, also working in a professional setting, build up the experience to be able to share some of the experiences gained from work, and sort of mirror that with what was being taught in classrooms. So that also helped me a lot.
Oh, that's great. So you have walked through that process, went through school. After school, what happened? What was next? Did you continue your education, or you got your first job?
I did get my first job, in fact,
Oh,
before even graduating. So just
wow.
so Ebola 2014, I remembered I had done my internship 3 years at PSI, and I was being promoted every year. From my first year to my third year, I was being promoted, and it was the last year. And I sat with my manager then, who was Gerald. This is the end of your internship. We have to bring in more young people to come in. Um, and so, what's next for you? And so I was like, and I was really prepared for that conversation. So I had done some research. Then I was a learning and performance champion, though as an intern for my department, which was the Smart Choice department. And so, and being the learning and performance champion, I had lots of insights around what other PSI was in over 40 countries around the world. So I had insights around some of the roles that learning and performance champions end up transitioning to within PSI. And so learning knowledge management was something, there was a pathway for me. I was really interested in sharing skills and knowledge I'd gained, and always helping to troubleshoot issues at the office, though I was an intern. And so I told her during my performance appraisal, which was my final performance appraisal, oh, I'm interested in really continuing to help people grow within PSI. I want to be able to facilitate workshops, productivity workshops. I want to be able to identify and assess gaps within, the organization, and pretty much design or develop trainings or recommend trainings. Say, okay, that's interesting. And little did I know, she said, okay, you know what? Put it in writing. Let's see what happens. And I did it. I put it in writing. She forwarded to the country director, Reed Moore-Smith, then, who was from the US. And just a week after, to publish like an internal job opportunity just at the end of my internship. And funny enough, in one of the general staff meeting preceding the entire process of recruiting the new learning and development officer at PSI, when the country manager had announced, oh, Gerald, is our new learning and performance and knowledge management officer, everybody was like, oh, we knew that, in as much as people had advertised that internally, this job internally, you would have gained that job. So that was reassuring for me that the work that I was doing there was not, left unseen, that people felt the impact I was making. And I was one of the fortunate, at least around that time, just after my internship, I transitioned to working full time. But then it was Ebola also. And so I kept working for PSI for the next, I think, almost a year. And then I got an opportunity to transition to the US for studies.
Okay, how did that opportunity come about? Because there's many people in Liberia who be saying, "Oh, uh, I'm in town right now. I'm trying to find something." So, is it an opportunity of the Mandela Foundation scholarship, or it's another
Oh,
source being
the
about?
Mandela one came way after. I remember
Okay.
applying for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, I think somewhere around 2015, 2016, and I did not get it until 2021. But Watson Institute, where I studied social entrepreneurship and transformative action, um, there was Mahmoud Johnson was the first fellow in the inaugural year of the launch of that program. It was a program for social impact leaders around the world. And so in the first year of that program, there was a librarian who was part of that program who joined the first cohort, and that was Mahmoud. Mahmoud Johnson joined the first cohort. And so he had posted about that opportunity, and I was pretty much friends with him because he had gone through the PSI program as well, and he had left the internship before my term. And so so we became friends then. And so he was part of that fellowship, but he did not complete because he got a grant to launch JPalm.
Okay.
And so that's how he did not complete the program. So the following year, when they published this program, I sort of came across the opportunity and I applied. But even before applying, I had spoken to him. I chatted with him on Facebook, and he was open to reviewing my application and providing feedback. So I did my application, sent it to him. He had lots of feedback. I revised my application, ultimately ended up applying, and I went through the process. I got selected for as a semifinalist, and then I was interviewed and finally selected as a finalist. From a cohort, I think that year of around, we're somewhere around 10 to 12 young people from across the US and the world who had gotten accepted. Were actually three from Africa, one from Burundi, one from Nigeria, and myself from Liberia. And then we had someone filmed from Germany. We had someone from Jordan that year. So all of us, sort of got selected that year. I was part of the second cohort of the Watson Institute Social Impact Program.
Yeah, it's exciting that many people will not take, but I have to allow me to emphasize this point that even though you saw the opportunity through another person, through your network, you still went back for more coaching on how to prepare yourself better to submit your application. And often at times people think that your success have to be solo. You don't have to depend on other people. But it's to share that your network is extremely important, and those you have in your network are the one that can help you to channel. I mean, they can help you to open the doors, which you have through the Mammoth example. But you yourself have to be prepared to go through that door, and preparation means going out to other people. So now you came for the Waxing fellowship. What was it all about? Is it still running? Are Liberians still being accepted into the program?
Oh yeah, the Watson program is still running. And after me, I think there's one person who also got accepted, but he got accepted into the bachelor's program. Then
Wow.
Watson had expanded and they had the partnership with a university called Lean University. And so they had a bachelor's program. It was a 3 year or 3.5 year bachelor's program in social entrepreneurship. And so Wayne Wright, who is now the founder and CEO of Tribe, which is another educational non-for-profit organization here in Liberia, has made some really amazing, developed some amazing programs and impact across high schools. He got the opportunity later on, I think it was probably 2 years or so afterwards, when Watson had, expanded into like a full-blown bachelor's program. He had the opportunity to benefit from that. So after that, no one else, I don't think I can remember anyone else who's gone through the program. But I think one interesting lesson for me then, I was really young, eager, um, and passionate about making a difference in my community. So just going backwards from leadership in my youth ministry at church, leadership in the choir, but also I started my own mentorship program and educational program during COVID. So I was involved into a lot of community service, and that really motivated me because I kept seeing lots of different problems, which were also opportunities to make a difference. And so I was always proactive online in either searching for opportunities to advance myself or opportunities to be able to make a difference in my community. So I was always looking for those kind of opportunities, be it fellowship opportunities, scholarship opportunities, grant opportunities. I was looking for all of those, either to improve my skills, my experience, but also just raise money to be able to undertake some of the projects that I was passionate about. And so that meant also connecting with like-minded people who had gone before me, and tapping onto their own network, their own knowledge, their own experiences. And so that really enabled me to sort of expand my network as well within the ecosystem. And that laid the foundation for, every other work that I did later on after that.
Okay. So now you're back in Liberia. You stay at PSI. What was your next move after that?
So after PSI, I came back to PSI. So I left, I went to Watson, and then I came back to PSI. I consulted for a couple of months. There was a huge opportunity for me to transition But then yeah, I was still very deeply rooted in community service, and so I joined Smart Liberia as the director of Smart Liberia then in 2015, at the end of 2015, early 2016. So I took on the leadership of another organization called Smart Liberia, and so it was a youth development organization. I was focused on uh, providing young people with the skills, the resources, and the network to be able to identify their purpose and make an impact in their communities. So Smart Library was running developing multiple programs. We had the school advancement program, which we're preparing for a year through a gap year long. We're preparing top performing high school students to study abroad. So we did that for some time. We had a global goals program where we're creating awareness around the sustainable development goals.
What was your
Um,
success rate with preparing students? How many students were you able to?
Over time, I think we had pretty much somewhere around 20 to 27 students over time who had transitioned to different opportunities abroad.
Oh,
In the U.S. specifically, I cannot say, but probably close to 10 or more. I would say more than 10 because that was the highest number. It was a struggle, but we managed to get over 10 students to the U.S. who got partial scholarship, many of which who have completed their bachelor's and now even their masters in the U.S. And the rest is history. I don't want to perhaps talk about the anticipation was for them to come back and give back to the country, but we'll understand the context of Liberia again, wherein a lot of amazing young people have gotten the opportunity to transition abroad, and when they look back at, okay, what am I really coming back to give up to? There are very few of us who've been able to muster the courage to come back and give back to our country.
but
But we
that
also understand.
that's what the point is, Jared. That's I think
Mhm.
Mr. Hodges, sorry, that's what the point is. The point is that at one point in time, but let me do this before I come to this part I'm going to, is that Liberians are watching you and are listening to you, and if you can advise, there are people who wants to come to the US to study or come abroad to study, and they're hearing that you successfully transition at least 27 Liberians out of the country to study abroad. So what was it that you were offering that was making it easier for you to partner, or were you partnering this with these universities, or were you searching for opportunities and helping students to write grant or apply to these universities?
Oh, there are multiple factors. So we had developed like a holistic program around our student. I would say that program we had developed like a holistic program. So after graduating from high school, you had to apply to enter. So it was a rigorous application process, in fact, to even join our program in the first place. So you had to commit to not going to college for a year and go through a program with us for a year. And so once you applied, we had to streamline the process. People had to take aptitude tests. So we're looking at both their school academic records. We're looking at their national exam records, and then we're looking at their entrance examination record into our program. So we're really taking on some of the best, right? But even as we took some of the best based on our own local standard, there were still huge gaps. So for a year, we had developed like a holistic program in math and English, in SAT prep, standard aptitude test, which was required by most universities in the U.S. or colleges in the U.S. So we had to go through the SAT, prep exams. They had to write personal statements. So we had a full blown. They had to take a course in leadership and entrepreneurship, just to be able to help them become ethical, empathetic, transformational leaders, because we wanted to instill them some really strong values that really we believed in as an organization, as Smart Liberia. But beyond that, also beyond the leadership program, they had to take a course in I think history, and we did entrepreneurship as well. So, and then they also had to take a course in studying abroad. So holistically, we had multiple things that really prepared them for a year to become, equipped to be able to apply to universities abroad. But beyond just applying to university abroad, they needed to be equipped to transition successfully abroad, because you could get a scholarship to go abroad, but cultural shock, all those different things, studying skills, reading skills, comprehend analytical skills. Those are things that are really not taught in our schools in Liberia. And so we needed to prepare them for that journey before even, enabling them to apply for this
There, I
opportunity.
think we're having problem with your system. Your sound is kind of speaking in and out. Hello, hello.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's clearer now.
Is it better off? Is it
Yeah, it's
better
better.
off?
Yeah, it's better off. Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm hearing some grinding. I'm hearing some
Yeah, that's why we're
grinding.
hearing coming from your end. There was a lot of grinding coming in, but it's better now. What noise there?
It's
It's
still
squeaking. It's coming
coming.
again.
Yeah, it's still coming from my end. Is it better off now?
No, go ahead. Let me see.
Oh, uh, my network is up,
Yeah,
so I
the
don't know what
network
the
is
issue is.
it's not. Yeah, the sound is it's fading off. Ooh. Maybe we can because sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we have lost Mr. Hodges due to internet connectivity. But we're going into a very interesting part of the discussion, and discussing how his program with Smart Liberia transitioning at least 27 Liberians here abroad to study. And he was sharing with us the process that he went through, and it was very interesting. We have more to discuss. I think what we're going to do is that we're going to talk to Mr. Gerald. Maybe next month we're going to have him back and perhaps have him in the studio in Monrovia to join us from there. Because okay,
Okay.
okay, Gerald, you're back. Good.
Okay. Oof.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was just saying that we're going to ask you if you come back in the studio in Monrovia at Freedom FM next month. But it's good. It's good we have you now. Now that we don't have much time, so let me move quickly. Currently, you work as a CEO of Lead Liberia.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that position and what you do?
Okay. So I just recently joined Lead Monrovia Football Academy. So basically, Lead Monrovia Football Academy was established in 2015. So on October 12th this year, the organization celebrated 10 years of impact in Liberia. And so Lead is basically a non-for-profit organization that runs a school, and now it has transitioned to a boarding school. So we run a school, tuition free. Student athletes get to receive 3 meals per day, and holistic education comprising of like academic, leadership, as well as life skills and soccer, which is core part of our model. So basically, our school runs from grades 5 to grades 12, and this year we have an enrollment of roughly 112 students. In the previous year, we've had over 180 students, but this year we had to do some restructuring, and now we've reduced our number to somewhere around 112 students who are enrolled into the school this year. The school is located in Carisburg, just roughly 5 minutes away from the Wookiees farm. The Wookiees farm, roughly 5 minutes away from the Wookiees farm in Carisburg. So that's essentially what we do at the Lead Monrovia Football Academy. And I would say, just to highlight, for us, we believe like holistic education has to really combine multiple aspect, of learners development. And so football, many people, when you ask them about Lead Monrovia Football Academy, the thing is just football, but it's not just football. So we run a full blown program, academic program, from grades 5 to grades 12. Right? Students get to go to school as early as 7:30 in the morning. By 8 o'clock, they start their classes, and then by 1 p.m. they go for lunch, they take a break, and by 3 p.m., based on which team you're on, you go to the field and you get to practice, or you do theoretical, soccer. So that's what makes us different from any other academy in Liberia, right? There
So,
are
so
other academies that.
you've been running this institution have been is running over 12 years now. And
10 years now.
how many soccer players have you produced professionally or semi-professionally?
Okay. So right now we have two of our girls who recently justified for the under 17 team. So that's that. We also have again male players on the under 17 team nationally in Liberia. We've got close to right now one, two, three, roughly around six students who are in the U.S. Across high schools, and one person just transitioned to university. So among them, I think we have roughly around we should have around five girls. I think 4 to 5 girls currently athletes who are in the U.S. and then I think one male athlete who's in the U.S. Again, we took these students from really a young age, and so the process obviously of them transitioning to full blown professional soccer over time would take some time. On average, it would take obviously them to at least hit 18 years, 17 to 18 years before they start playing. Right now our teams will only have under 17 and under 15 at the academy currently.
Okay, but you've been around for more than 10 years, so one would have expected that. Okay, but how is the program?
Because
How
the
does
school did not start. The school did not start from high school. The school started from primary, and then after the first, I think 3 4 years, then it started adding from class to class from the first cohort, and this year will be the second. This 2024-2025 year will be the second graduate from the school, right? So that's the reason why. Though the institution started 10 years ago, but it didn't start from high school. So obviously these people were still kids. And last year was our first graduation. This year is our second graduation from high school.
okay? So how professional are your students? Are they in at the local level now? Are they playing with any of the local teams in Liberia?
Yes, we should just mention we have two of our females who just joined the under 17 team. Two of our student athletes who just joined the under 17 national team. Yeah.
No, I mean
So
the local
that's
team. I know it's a national team. Any one of them playing for IE, Barrow, Bame, or
no,
others.
because we run our own um, football academy, I would say, that is attached to the school. So ultimately, the goal is to have them, grow to a point where we can have our own, club team in the third division, the second division, the first division over time.
Okay. So how people listening that may be interested that there's a program in Liberia that supports soccer and athletic.
Mhm.
How do you get to be part of this program?
So annually we do like a recruitment that's in two phases. So it starts with like a community, football match, pretty much, where kids get to justify. We put up a call for, nomination or applications. We have these community leagues where kids get to justify, and then we take some of the top perform players on the team, or who justify. We take them to sit our entrance exams, and then once they take the entrance exam, so their records from the pitch and that of the entrance exams give them a spot to join the school. Also, we're working mostly with vulnerable kids. So for people who are watching us, potentially in the pipeline next year, one of the things we're looking at doing is working with the county leadership to see how best they could potentially, nominate some of, some really good players in their respective counties. They get to justify, but hopefully we can work with these county leaders as well to be able to provide scholarship for these students. It costs us on average annually. It costs us on average around $5,000 to $7,000 to provide a holistic education per child in our school. Again, because they receive 3 meals per day, housing. Sometimes some of them over the last couple of years have been part of international trips where we've played other teams in other countries, in Morocco, for instance. So it's a really expensive program, and we're really running on grants and individual donors who've been generous enough to be able to provide support towards the operations of the institution. This year, I just joined about 2 months ago, so I'm looking for more sustainable pathways for the organization to, grow beyond what it is right now. So that's one of the reasons why I've been, hired to actually look for like a sustainable pathway to accelerate growth, but also to sustain the legacy of the organization. So we're really figuring out ways in which we can sustain this program over time beyond just the work that we're doing right now.
Okay, that's great. One question, and I think we almost at the end of the road. Well, 5 minutes. They have been very short. But someone's one of our listeners is saying that America is not a great place to prepare anyone's soccer career. Why are you not considering Europe?
We are considering Europe. It's just because of the existing partners we've had. We don't have anyone in Europe, and if the person has any connections in Europe that really could spark some of the student athletes, definitely right now where we have because of the ties of Liberia, the ties of Liberia and the U.S. So it's easier as a lower hanging fruit for us as compared to Europe. But we're definitely looking at Europe, and again, one of the reasons why I've been hired as the new head of the institution is to be able to identify opportunities outside of Liberia, outside of the U.S., and look into Europe as well.
Okay, thank you, Gerald, Mr. Hodges, so much for your time. It's been a great conversation. Congratulations on your achievement. I sure we have been able to educate some Liberians out there. Looking at you, young, you return home, which was after your study. It was a question I would have played with, but I have only 3 minutes left for the show. But thank you. Have a wonderful evening. It was great having you on the show. Do you have any
Thank you
parting
so
words?
much. Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show. Deeply appreciate it. You're one of the person who's inspired me, to think big, to keep pursuing my dreams. And so I do appreciate inviting me on the show. And to those listening, nobody's going to come to save Liberia if we do not save Liberia ourselves. And so I encourage you to really think through ways in which you can contribute meaningfully, even if you don't, you're abroad in the diaspora, but there are lots of different local organizations that are doing amazing work. Find ways to either volunteer, find ways annually when you come to potentially do a small project, find ways to make a difference in the community. So lots of local organizations are championing amazing causes in Liberia, and that they're going to places that the government is not going into. And so it takes all of us Liberians to build this country that we envision becoming. So thank you so much. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hodges. Do have a wonderful evening. And thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite writer once wrote, "The higher than the highest human thought can reach, he's got ideas for his children." You have listened to the story of Mr. Hodges. He started his education in Guinea, came back to Liberia despite his accent, built himself through the process and leading himself to currently being the CEO of Lead Monrovia Football Academy. That could be you too. He came to the US, like many other Liberians who have decided not to return after he completed his master's degree. But he decided that Liberia is only we Liberians that can develop Liberia. So until we meet again, my co-host, Mr. Augustine Sherry, is coming on. But until we meet again next month at the same time, do have a wonderful evening.